Hello, 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 and welcome to Rituals for Self-Care. This is our February theme here at Be the Love Wellness, and we are so excited to bring to you an invitation to indulge in self-care this month. In this presentation, you're going to get a little taste for what we're offering here in our members only site, and also which will be displayed on our social channels and in every place where you can find us. We will be inviting you and encouraging you to dive into self-care and to enjoy and delight and revel in feeling cared for and loved and nourished and whole. This time of year, it can feel so barren and cold, and often we lose the motivation that we may have tried to scrape together for our January goals. February can be a little bleak, especially if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, and especially if it's the cold, winter, dark month that it is around me anyway. And so having these opportunities to dive in and to care for yourself are so important. And they can really help to anchor you in to this season, to get some delight and enjoyment during this cold, dark time of year, and also to just offer you this feeling of delight and nourishment as we move into the season of celebrating love and connection. Often, so often, right, we can put a lot of the need and desire that we have for love and care and feeling whole on our partners. And this time of year, that can especially lead to feelings of disappointment or sadness or feeling lonely or left out if you do not have a partner, or if that partner is not feeling like giving you the expectation, right? Fulfilling the expectation that you may have, or the needs that you may have for nourishment and wholeness. And so my invitation to you for this short invitation, right, for this short presentation is going to be to consider, how can you on your own fulfill that feeling of nourishment and wholeness, so that anything else that you receive is just a bonus. It's just extra on top of the fulfillment and the goodness and the nourishment that you already have in yourself. So with that, I want to share a little bit on what you can expect in this short conversation today. So in this presentation, we're just going to talk about why to create rituals around self-care and some examples of what you can try this month. In our other presentations and in our members only community, we're going to get into it a little bit more on what to include in a self-care ritual, on some examples of supplies that you can use, a few favorite recipes for different things that I enjoy making and indulging in when I have time, and how to personalize the ritual to your needs in this moment. I can tell you that once you start to dive into this, the creative juices can get flowing, and you can have these endless possibilities of ways to add ritual that can take almost no time at all. Right? Even just orienting around the thought of, how can I make this a little bit more of a ritual? How can I make this a little bit more indulgent? Can completely change the experience you have of just, making your morning coffee or tea, or getting yourself prepared for the day. And that adds the richness and life that can feel so good and can really fill some of those cracks and gaps that we feel this time of year, especially. So what is a ritual? You may know it as more of a ceremony, right? Often when we think of ritual, we think of ceremonies like weddings and celebrating new life, new babies. We think of rites of passages, milestone birthdays. We can also think of things like holidays. There are a lot of rituals around holidays, passing down heirlooms, even funerals, right? Celebrations of life, graduations, right? There's a lot of rituals that we already have embedded into our culture. And here's the thing I'm going to push back a little bit on. A lot of those rituals occur early in life, and they're oriented around milestones that not everyone has. And so beyond those, there's a whole lot of life and living that deserves and is warranted and deserves to be celebrated that is not celebrated. So, for the purposes of celebration, we often think of indulgence and feeling cared for and loved, and we receive that from other people in our lives. We receive it from friends and family, from loved ones, from people that we know. And those rituals or ceremonies often have gifts and singing, music and dancing, words, gratitudes, gathering, right? So, when we think of ritual or ceremony, we think of these big things. What I'm here to share is that often rituals for self-care, right? So as we look more at the self and caring for oneself, we're looking at giving reverence to the familiar, to the ordinary, to the everyday. We're looking at celebrating everyday life and living as if it is a rite of passage, as even though it is not embedded into our culture, it deserves celebration. It deserves and warrants feelings of goodness and wholeness. We deserve and to feel good every day. You deserve to feel good and whole every day. And celebrations and rites of passage and rituals can be a way in which we can add wholeness and goodness to our everyday lives. So I want to give a little bit of purpose around why we would give ourselves a ritual or a celebration. First, what is the purpose of a ritual? Well, we can ask ourselves, what am I giving to myself right now? What do I need? What would I like to receive right now? Now, often we think of things, right? We think of actions, we think of purchases, whatever your love language is. We might think of receiving gifts or flowers or chocolates, especially this time of year. We might be thinking more around